Seriously, I'm so envious of these two cows. Moo 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 moo, they're a couple, you know? Ugh, seeing them makes me, a lonely single dog, so jealous. A bull and a cow, ah, so perfect. Just looking at them makes me want to cry. Even cows come in pairs, and here I am, Vivi, already 38 years old, seems like I'll never get married. You know what? In real life, finding a man is just so hard. The real challenge is finding a normal guy, and honestly, there are basically none around. Maybe I should just hang out with cows instead. They're pretty cute after all.
大家知道现在郑州的男生到
Do you know how clear-headed the guys in Zhengzhou are these days? Yesterday, an out-of-town girl came to our matchmaking service to sign up. In every other aspect, she was pretty average, but she was very attractive, an absolute stunner. However, her demands were anything but modest. She wanted a local Zhengzhou man with an annual income of at least 300,000 yuan, who owned a car and property, and insisted that her name be added to the property deed after marriage. I told her that we do have many high-quality Zhengzhou bachelors here, but we also have to be responsible to these men, so I had to ask her what she could bring to the table. She said she had no dowry but was very beautiful and could provide emotional value. After hearing that, I was speechless, because guys in Zhengzhou nowadays are extremely clear-headed. They won't be easily fooled by superficial charms. If a woman wants to gain something from a man but can't contribute equal value herself, it's simply not happening. And forget about unrealistic fantasies like having her name added to the property deed. The well-off men in Zhengzhou today are all very sharp and pragmatic. What do you guys think?
我建议普通女孩最好在
I recommend that ordinary girls try to marry before turning 30, because after 30, no matter how outstanding, beautiful, or independent you are, most of what's left around you will just be, well, crap. Honestly, I'm going to be very blunt. Those exceptionally high-quality men you might be interested in? They have better options. Girls today are just too exceptional. All women are amazing. So let's not engage in female competition, let's not compare ourselves to anyone, and I'm not trying to create anxiety. If you can find a good partner, then get married. If not, staying single isn't a bad choice either. There's no absolutely right or wrong decision here. Marriage does give you support and a family, but it also comes with trivial burdens. If you don't marry, you might feel lonely without a partner, but you'll have much more freedom. So no matter what you choose, it's not wrong. If you do marry, it must be to someone truly good, your ideal type. But if you really can't find that person, staying unmarried isn't a bad backup plan. Don't listen to what others say and don't stress too much thinking, oh no, I'm getting older, men only want younger women now, no matter how amazing I am, I'm no longer in demand. And then lowering your standards. That's really unnecessary. Living alone isn't so bad either. I'm 32 now and still unmarried. I've been with my boyfriend for over 5 years and we're very happy, our relationship is great. Of course, some might say, you've been together 5 years and still aren't married? If things stay like this forever, I wouldn't necessarily mind. But who knows what the future holds? That said, I'm not opposed to taking the next step, nor am I afraid of losing him. Once you really think things through, you'll feel much lighter, less weighed down. For me, marriage is something I both desire and resist. It's not that I don't believe it could bring me happiness, it's just, well, I don't want to test human nature.
现在深圳的大理
Nowadays, the leftover women in Shenzhen are getting increasingly anxious. They've realized that the speed at which they lower their standards can't keep up with the speed at which their perceived value declines. Not long ago, at a Shenzhen matchmaking corner, I met a woman born in the 1990s who poured out her frustrations to me. She said she had been on nearly 30 blind dates, and even though she kept lowering her expectations, she was still rejected by the men every time. The woman explained that when she first graduated, she was completely focused on her career. Back then, many men pursued her, but she turned them all down. After working hard for 6 years, she finally became an executive, but by then she was almost 30, and everyone around her started pressuring her to get married. She thought her own conditions were pretty good, so she wanted an equally outstanding partner. In her mind, men who didn't own a car or apartment, didn't have a Shenzhen hukou, household registration, or earned less than 400,000 yuan a year were simply not up to her standards. Even if a man met her criteria, she still wanted to carefully assess whether he was truly sincere. As a result, she dragged things out until her mid-30s, only to suddenly realize that no one was pursuing her anymore, and hardly anyone was willing to introduce her to potential partners. On the rare occasion someone did, the matches were mostly divorced men. That's when she panicked and decided to take the initiative by going on blind dates. But even after repeatedly lowering her standards, men still thought she was too old and worried she might have difficulty having children. Eventually, she could only meet with divorced men or those who had been briefly married but had no children. It was then that she realized she had missed her best opportunities, and by then it was too late for regrets. What do you all think after hearing this woman's story? After discussing with my parents these past couple of days, our family has decided to look for a live-in son-in-law. No need to buy a car, no need to buy a house, and you don't have to give us a single cent in dowry. The only condition is that the man must be someone my mom approves of. If she doesn't like you, even if you offer us $1 million in dowry, you still won't set foot in our house. To be honest, our family situation is pretty simple. We're just ordinary, down-to-earth rural folks. My parents are almost 60 and will retire in a couple of years. As for me, I'm 32 years old and currently work in a factory. My annual income is just under $1 million. Right now, my ride is a two-wheeled vehicle, bike/scooter, and my house is a kinda old-fashioned rustic-style villa we built a few years ago in my hometown. That's pretty much the situation. My parents are honest, hard-working people. If the man feels too much pressure later on and doesn't want to work hard anymore, if he just wants to take it easy, that's totally fine. Worst case, I'll work a little harder. I'll take care of earning money and you can just focus on being pretty. At home, you just need to handle chores, take care of the kids, and look after the elderly. That's it. I also understand that managing household duties can be tough, so as compensation, I'm willing to hand over my entire salary to you after marriage. No more words, just hoping to find my Mr. Right soon.
有没有像我一样28岁了？
Is there anyone else like me, 28 years old, no car, no house, no job, no partner, and drowning in debt? I'm in Hangzhou right now and I haven't found a job in 2 months. I quit my job at the end of April and have been lying low since then. I keep sending out resumes over and over, but the interviews don't go well. I keep telling myself, it's okay, you'll make it. Don't mind that I'm crying now, this is actually a good state compared to the past 2 months. Back then I didn't cry, I didn't break down, I kept my emotions in check. I couldn't cry and I couldn't laugh either. People ask me, you should smile. Why don't you? Laughter makes you younger. But smiling won't solve my problems. If I could laugh, of course I would. Right now, the fact that I can cry feels like progress, at least I can release some emotions. Because honestly, I don't know what else I can do. Of course, I'm desperate to find a job because I need money. My savings from 1 month's salary have had to stretch over 2, and I still don't have next month's rent figured out. I'm not just looking for any job in Hangzhou, I want to be a live streaming sales host because I want to do something where, if I put in the effort, I'll see results. Something that can cover my debt and daily expenses. I'm not extravagant. Aside from loving food, I don't spend recklessly, I don't even know brand names. I just want to earn money, pay off my debts, and live my life alone. Drifting from place to place, I could survive on a few thousand a month if I had to. But to pay off my debts, I need to earn over 10K a month. Only then can I clear them in a few months. I still have about 30K left to pay. No, wait, sorry, I mean 30K in debt left. Stay strong. This means I'm almost through it. It means I'm close to finding a job, or maybe the hardest part hasn't even hit yet. But you know what they say, when things hit rock bottom, they'll bounce back, right? I will make it. And to anyone listening to me vent like this, I hope you never have to go through this phase. I hope you find a job soon, at the very least, never have to worry about money. May you never worry about money, and may you have friends or a partner who can support you through tough times, reliable people. I also hope you grow stronger. I should stop talking now, the more I say, the harder it is to calm down. Bye and stay strong.
你们听说了吗？前阵子就因为丈
Have you all heard about this? Not long ago, just because the mother-in-law said a few words during her speech, the groom got so angry on the spot that he called off the wedding right then and there. The bride was completely stunned. What in the world happened? Listen up and let's talk about this objectively. So, during the wedding, as per the usual procedure, the mother-in-law was invited to say a few words on stage. But what happened next? As soon as she took the microphone and started speaking, oh boy, it was something else. She cleared her throat and said, First of all, I'd like to thank all our dear friends and family for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend my daughter's wedding. Today is my daughter's big day, and as her mother, I especially want to thank my in-laws for raising such a wonderful son, someone my daughter can entrust her life to. Thank you, dear in-laws. The guests below all smiled and applauded, thinking her words were quite gracious. But no one could have expected what came next. The mother-in-law's following remarks left everyone in shock, instantly freezing the joyful atmosphere. Her tone suddenly shifted, and she became full of smug pride. Guess what she said? Our family is so lucky to have such a great son-in-law and such sincere in-laws. But honestly, the main reason for all this is that my daughter is just so outstanding. As her mother, today I really have to brag about my girl. And then she launched into a long, boastful speech. Just how capable is my daughter, you ask? Look, the groom's family didn't ask for a single cent in dowry. Not only that, but they even took the initiative to provide a generous betrothal gift. She paused, scanning the room with an unbearably smug tone. Guess what they gave? Asterisk, can't guess, huh? A prime commercial property worth 1.5 million yuan, plus a brand new luxury car worth over 300,000 yuan. Asterisk. Tell me, isn't my daughter just amazing? Other families have to prepare dowries when marrying off their daughters, but we didn't have to worry about a thing. They took care of everything themselves. And all of this? It's all thanks to my daughter's good fortune and her own capability. Her arrogance was so thick you could cut it with a knife. She was completely lost in her own boasting, completely oblivious to the groom's and his parents' expressions in the crowd. By this point, the groom's face had turned downright ugly, shock, fury, humiliation flashing across it, pale one moment and flushed the next. Over at the groom's parents' table, their faces were dark with anger and embarrassment. The bride, clearly panicking, tried to rush on stage to stop her mother, but before she could even get there, the groom stormed up in a flash. He snatched the microphone right out of his mother-in-law's hands. The room fell dead silent. Taking a deep breath, the groom announced loudly to the crowd, "I'm sorry, everyone. Today's wedding is over. My apologies for making you come all this way for nothing." With that, he ripped off his bow tie, turned and walked out without looking back. His parents immediately followed. The bride burst into tears, chasing after him and calling his name, but no matter how much she apologized or pleaded, the groom ignored her completely, not even slowing his steps. What was supposed to be a joyous celebration turned into a scene of chaos, leftover dishes, bewildered guests, and the bride standing frozen on stage, utterly dumbstruck. She was both furious at her mother's thoughtless words and regretful that she hadn't warned her beforehand. But it was too late. Now, what do you all think about this? In my opinion, that mother-in-law really didn't think before she spoke. Wasn't it obvious she was using the groom's family's generosity as a way to show off? She made their efforts sound like some kind of windfall earned solely because of her daughter's excellence. If it were you, if you'd worked hard to provide everything, only to have your future mother-in-law casually dismiss it at the wedding as them throwing themselves at us, all because of her daughter's brilliance, could you swallow that insult?
我感觉现在这个社会，像我这种
I feel like in today's society, someone like me, an utterly average graduate from a second-tier university, can no longer find a decent job. After graduating, I joined a large state-owned enterprise in my hometown. Back in school, I'd watch TV shows where office workers each had their own desk, but I never imagined that the department I was assigned to wouldn't even have an office. When I applied, they didn't ask us to specify our desired position on the resume. They just said we'd be assigned roles after joining. And so I was sent to the heating supply branch where I work now. Our department has 14 frontline employees, including me. Our job is to handle heating services for the entire city and collect heating fees. I alone am responsible for over 300,000 square meters, 8 or 9 neighborhoods with around 2,000 to 3,000 households. To put it in perspective, the Bird's Nest Stadium is about 250,000 square meters, but my area is even larger, with some neighborhoods on the east side of the city and others on the west. The assignments were decided by lottery by our manager. Winters are especially brutal. Our manager refuses to hire more people, it's just the 14 of us. Back then, I had just graduated and knew nothing. For example, if a resident complained their heating wasn't working, I'd first check if the main valve was open. That valve was a huge disc, weighing around 600 pounds. I didn't know who to ask for help, so I had to wrench it open myself. If a pipe burst somewhere, I'd rush over to shut it off, but the neighborhoods were over 10 kilometers apart. Fresh out of college, I didn't have a car or even an electric bike, just a bicycle. Despite the grueling work in freezing winters, our manager still enforced performance evaluations. Every month, we had quotas, like collecting 60% of heating fees by November. For every percentage point short, we lost a point. Almost everyone in our department lost about 10 points monthly. The only ones who scored well were 1 or 2 older veterans. Last month, in June during summer, I was docked 45 points for failing to meet targets. The worst part? Our manager waits until right before payday to redefine the performance metrics, completely unfair. I actually like the job itself, but I despise our manager. Every morning we have a meeting where he passive-aggressively berates us. The office politics are unbearable. I feel so disgusted that I want to quit. But if I do, I'll have no income. I'm renting here and my family can't support me. I'm trying to figure things out, but nowadays without connections, good jobs are out of reach. Some companies are hiring, but only for labor dispatch, not formal positions, which means even lower pay. I just wish ordinary people like me could have decent jobs too. Maybe it's because I'm not ambitious or hardworking enough.